Hey guys, it's Troy here, and today I'm going to be post-commentating my 200cc sub 57 all tracks speedrun. This is something I've been working towards for the last year or so. Actually, 200cc came out on CTGP exactly a year ago, so it's kind of perfect timing for me to finally achieve my goal and get sub 57 on this category. So anyway, we start on Grumble Volcano because, as you probably saw in my 5707, we started on Grumble as opposed to Luigi Circuit, and that is why the rules of the category are that you can start on any track as long as you have the settings in the game set to in order. So that means that we will play them all in order, starting from Grumble, and we'll end on Maple Treeway. So we bag at the beginning, get a 10th, 11th, or 12th place item box, which guarantees triple mushrooms on strategic items, which is another setting we have. And for this category, you can have the settings set to whatever you want, as long as you have it to all 32 tracks being played in order and 200cc. The other settings are up to your choice, which is pretty cool because other categories are not like that for speedruns. So you can actually set it to no items if you don't want to have to deal with CPU, banana, and green shell interference. But I set it to strategic items because we need mushrooms to do crazy shortcuts like the one you've seen in the first 2 laps of this track. So this shortcut is one that I used to struggle with immensely when I first started doing the speedrun, but now I can get it automatically. The hardest part at Grumble Volcano is actually just getting triple mushrooms and then getting to the front of the pack without getting bumped off. And then obviously on lap 3, the CPUs are a huge problem because you have to lap all of them and they kind of become obstacles. So this track is one that I reset on all the time, and that is why we're playing it first, because with the rules, you can play the tracks in whatever order you like. I pretty much am getting the hardest ones out of the way first. Grumble Volcano to Rainbow Road, a super difficult 5-track section, and we get to go through all 5 with little to no nerves. And that Grumble Volcano was practically perfect for me. I got like a 118 or something. So this Dry Ruins goes really smoothly as well. And so going back to why I used to start on the Luigi circuit, the reason why is because I had no competition in the speedrun and I was just going at my own pace. So I liked how the run started on the Luigi circuit, even though I knew that it was a option the whole time to start on whatever track I liked. But there was another speedrunner by the name of Darren who started to get really good times on the category, and he was starting on a different track, and I was like, okay, well, if he's gonna start on, I think he was starting on Desert Hills, then I should probably be smart and start on a track that I struggle with. So he ended up getting 5640 on the category, eventually got the sub a few weeks ago, or about a month ago, I can't remember how long ago, but it was really impressive. It's a super clean run, and I still didn't beat him in this run, but my goal all along was always just to get sub 57, and I took some huge breaks on this category, which is why it took me such a long time to finally achieve it. But I just got really frustrated playing the speedrun, and I lost motivation multiple times. But shouts to him for keeping me motivated, and seeing him achieve the sub definitely made me motivated to finally get it myself. So huge shouts to him for helping me get the motivation to finally get the sub 57 on the category. Dry Ruins, as you can see, went pretty well. 124 is always the goal on that track, and the strategies involve doing the strimless shortcut at the end by getting the trick off the last ramp and bypassing the second part of the ramp. And then no bagging required, because you could bag and maybe save a little bit of time doing the ultra shortcut with 2 shrooms and then the late cut with the other shroom, but it is way too difficult to get that consistently. Then again, because I'm starting so close to Dry Ruins at the very start, it actually isn't too much risk. The thing is these speedruns are kind of, once I get Grumble Volcano out of the way, because I don't get it all the time. I only get past Grumble Volcano like 30% of the time. So once I get past Grumble, I don't want to take any risks, really. It's funny. So that is why you won't see too many super risky shortcuts in this run. These Moonview highway lines are very, very safe. I am not amazing at this track. I definitely I have the car patterns down, but I don't like to get too close to the walls, and I don't even wheelie on the boost panels very often because I just want to make sure my wheelie doesn't lock. When you're playing 200cc, even the smallest little indent can affect you so much. Like right here, for example, if I don't release that mini turbo into a left mini turbo in time, I get a massive bounce. So I have to release it really quick because the elevation slightly changes in the road, and on 200cc, everything is amplified. Here's the first big mistake of the run. I somehow skipped over that boost panel and I wheelied and hit the post at the very end and lost like probably 1.5 seconds. That's the first mistake of the run. So 3 tracks down, heading into Bowser's Castle, a little bit upset at myself because it's such a stupid error. I was on the last straightaway of the track and I hit something that I never hit. So the good news is I avoided all the cars. Definitely not as big of a mistake as hitting the cars. When I hit a car, I'll get like 117 or 118 on that track. So 115 is decent. Definitely not reset worthy, even though we're only 3 tracks in, because like I said before, we're getting all the hardest ones out of the way. I'd say we're getting 5 of the top 10 hardest tracks out of the way right at the beginning. So this track is very, very difficult because there's a lot of cycles when it comes to the fire pillars, and they actually matter because you're going at such a fast speed. You have to keep this all very, very much like you're making notes of your pace and where these fire wheels are going to be, and it's mainly the one where the blue half pipe section is. Right here we do a spin drift off the stairs to set ourselves up for the section before the ramp there, and if we don't do that, then we have to brake drift, and if we brake drift, then we lose time. So a lot of brake drifting has to happen here though, just because, well, not a lot, but a little bit, just so we can get past that section alive, because the stairs are you can easily get height off of them at the top and then shoot into a wall. So I'm kind of putting my analog at like an upwards angle, because that mushroom dodge, oh my gosh, if I hit that mushroom, that would have been awful. But yeah, if I put it at an upwards angle, I'm actually fast falling. And what's really cool is how Mr. Bean added fast falling to 200cc, so if you're pressing up on your analog, you do fall faster. So I actually use it to stick to things a lot. I'll put it in like an upwards diagonal angle, like this part right here. I'm putting it upwards diagonal so I'm sticking to the stairs. It's a little trick that comes in handy throughout the speedrun the entire time. So yeah, missed all of the fire geysers, didn't hit them on the blue half pipes, didn't hit any pillars, and 147 is solid. Nothing too flashy. I didn't do the ending shortcut, which saves like 1.5 seconds, because I only go for it when I'm like really feeling myself. Generally towards the beginning of a session I'll go for it, but I was literally just warming up when I got this. So what I mean by that is I was just not expecting anything. This was like my second run of the day, or third run of the day. It was at the very beginning. Okay, so Rainbow Road. Let's talk about Rainbow Road real quick before I go on a tangent. It's really important to get that moon jump, because if you get that moon jump, you will hit this ramp right here, and that cuts a lot more time. If you miss it, you miss that whole boost, and you lose like half a second, maybe a little bit more. And the moon jump is the only way you miss it is if you don't get the full startup boost. If you get the full startup boost and wheelie about like a quarter of a second after the boost, you're guaranteed to get the moon jump, which is really nice. I almost fell off there. I got way more height than anticipated. When you're going off the anti-gravity jump, what you have to do in order to ensure not falling off, this is really important because everyone falls off here when they haven't practiced Rainbow Road on 200. You have to jump and tap to the right before the blue zipper at the top. And if you do that, then your angle will be, oh, I forgot about that banana hit. Oh, that sucks. That is really unlucky. There's going to be a few CPU interference moments in this run. They're actually pretty funny, and it always happens. Sometimes there's just you have to get a little bit lucky when doing this speedrun. So right here, as you can see, I jump, turn right, and it puts me in a position where I cannot fail the anti-gravity turn, will not fall off. I used to fall off there all the time. Once I figured that out, it was not the fastest method. I'm not drifting into it like I did at one point, but man, is it nice to not be falling off there, because falling off in this game, you lose a stupid amount of time. The black screens when you respawn are much longer than in Mario Kart 7, and then in Mario Kart 8 there are no black screens. Instead, Lakitu just yanks you back to the stage the second you leave. So this game is not like that. It's much more punishing. And 3 for 3 right here, jump right before. I remember when that turn used to be the death of me, and that was when I was starting on the Luigi circuit, so there was more risk. So Rainbow Road doesn't worry me anymore. It's still one of those tracks where I'm a little, I almost fell off there. Oh my gosh, I got air on that last bit. But yeah, it's still one of those tracks where I'm a little nervous only because I want to get past the Special Cup so badly. And going into the the Shell Cup, I was 3.6 seconds ahead, which is really, really nice. So that last corner, I normally try to hit the very right side of the boost panel, because if I don't, like you saw on lap 3 there, I actually get a pocket of air and it is very easy to fall off. So I got super lucky that I didn't fall off. So Peach Beach, I'm pretty sure this goes smoothly. I got a nice slip drift into a chain drift, slip drift. Chain drift and slip drift are kind of like simultaneous terms. But yeah, a slip drift is I have a video on it, but it's pretty much, you'll see it right here, where you don't even jump and you get air when you're wheeling, and then you're able to start a drift without having to jump, and it's a lot faster than having to jump and then wait until you land to get the Mii Turbo to start charging. So that's really nice. And then when you're chaining wheelies between drifts, or when you're wheeling and doing chain drifts, then that's a slip drift also. Some people don't call it that, but I've always called it that, and I know most of my friends that play this game also call it that. So, nice banana dodge, and that's on the slippery sand. And there's not too much to say about Peach Beach. Really nice, 52.4. The goal on this track is always 52, and I've been notorious for getting past the Special Cup and being in a really good spot, maybe 5 to 6 seconds ahead, and then completely botching the Shell Cup. And I cannot stand when I do that, because the thing is like, this is the easiest cup in the speedrun by far, and I shouldn't make any mistakes here. Nothing notable, at least. If I lose a second or two, I'm not gonna be kicking myself, but any major mistakes and it's like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? So this Yoshi Falls, I think I missed the boost panel, that one that's so easy to jump over just by drifting. I don't know why, but this is a really bouncy track. I think I missed it lap 2 also. No, I got it lap 2. Okay, so it was just lap 1. But yeah, that one boost panel, even on 150cc, it's notorious for not working, because this track is so weirdly bouncy right there. Does that boost panel just have like an awkward shape to it or what? Yeah, it's on some weird terrain. So I just missed it lap 1. Okay, that's not too bad. I think this is like a 42, and that's the goal on this track. 42.7, yeah. So you can get a low 42 if you don't miss boost panels, but that's fine. Like I said, I've had Yoshi Falls where I get 45, and I've had Peach Beach where I get 54, and then Ghost Valley 2, sometimes the scariest part is just CPU interference lap 3. And you guys have probably noticed, but the CPUs are really, really scary on the speedrun, because you are always having to deal with them lap 3. I noticed how much of a stark difference there was between this speedrun and the 150cc speedrun when I did a couple attempts of the 150cc one a few months back, and there's only a couple tracks that you have to actually deal with CPUs in that category. It's the no item 150cc, no ultra shortcut speedrun, and no glitches, like that speedrun. There's like no CPU interference at all. It's literally just like you're time trialing the entire time. You got like one run, time trials, no items every track. That's what it feels like. It's much more consistent, and you're not really having to improvise as much. This speedrun, you can tell I'm having to constantly be really engaged. It's not a muscle memory speedrun, because there's always obstacles in your way. Like even Ghost Valley right there, that banana at the very end almost screwed me over. So that's why I actually got really into doing this speedrun, is because it always felt fresh. And that's why I for the first speedrun I ever pour a lot of time into in my entire life is on a mod, which is funny because like no one really speedruns mods. I mean, people do speedrun mods, but no one seriously speedruns mods. And I took this pretty serious. I put a lot of time into this through the course of a year, and I definitely brought down the category the most of anybody, because this thing was I don't know when I first started, but before I got into CTGP, this 200cc category, I got it down to like 59 minutes, and then once it got into CTGP, I put it to low 58, and then mid 57, and then like low 57, and then I got stuck there for a long time. So I was implementing, I was definitely making the strats for this all by myself for the longest time, until I got some outside assistance. Because not many people play mods, and 200cc is not super popular in the Mario Kart community, even though I love it. It's really popular with YouTube, but it's not too popular on like time trials or online, and I think a big reason why is there's no like worldwide option for it in CTGP. But maybe one day we'll have some sort of like variety game mode option, because Mr. Bean's talked about that before. So this was a very standard Mario Raceway. I bagged, I got triple shrooms. I kind of messed up then. I hit a little bit of grass, which was so frustrating because otherwise it was solid. And I hit a little bit of grass even on lap 1 at the very beginning. But there is a strat on that track where I use the giant hill shortcut, and I only do that when I get to get the little bit of air going into the shroom shortcut, because when I get that air I could skip most of it, and when I can skip most of it I don't use my mushroom, and then I end up saving my mushrooms when it happens twice for the giant hill shortcut. But because it didn't happen, I just used my mushrooms in the standard spots and played it really safe. So this track, I'm very average on this one, and this was actually an amazing sherbet land for me. So these corners I used to mess up on all the time because, you know, you're playing 200cc and these are pretty sharp turns, and that corner in the cave, it's like an S-bend if you look at the mini-map towards the end of the cave, and it's so easy to mess up and hit the walls. I do that crazy strat where I cut a giant portion of the gap to avoid the penguin altogether, and then I brake drift as I land, and that's a really fun strat. I know that it's risky, but I feel really comfortable doing it, which is why I do it on lap 2 and 3. The penguins, I know where their locations are. I actually was able to memorize pretty much every enemy and every single obstacle's location over the course of a year, so nothing really surprises me. Sometimes I go into autopilot mode. Here's the little jump I'm talking about right there earlier. I love that. That's a really cool looking strat. Definitely saves a bit of time. But yeah, anyway, so sometimes I just go on autopilot and I completely forget the enemy routes, and when that happens I get so upset at myself because I will just lose focus for a moment and I'll forget where a penguin or a crab or a fire geyser is. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. So anyway, played it safe on Sherbet Land because, like I said, not my best course, and got a low 134. And I could get 133 if I took a little more risky approach and took lines a little bit tighter. But I am happy with that because this run is a marathon, not a sprint. And what I mean by that is it's important not to get too carried away and get risky early, and then because the thing is if you pull off all the risky strats and you're up a lot, you just have all these nerves. So it's good to, like, you know, play it safe, not feel nervous, keep a really good pace, and make minimal mistakes, because it's all about consistency. When you do these speedruns, you have to be doing strats that you can make very consistently, because if you're doing, like, you know, even let's say high risk, medium reward strats, it's not worth it. Even doing high risk, high reward strats is very, you know, is very sketchy. You want to be doing like medium risk, high reward, or like low risk, high reward strategies for the shortcuts. So yeah, this was a good Shy Guy Beach until lap 3. You're gonna see, like, I guess you could say, the second major mistake of the run. The biggest ones so far are the Moonview highway wall hit, and then almost hit that bomb, oh my gosh. And then obviously I hit a banana on Rainbow Road, not my fault. But here, I missed the low trick, and because I missed the low trick, I shoot out a little bit further than I'm used to, and the crab is just right in my line. I have these crab patterns memorized. I played this track over and over. I get 101 very consistently. So getting 103 was a bummer, and I remember the days when getting a 103 was good for me, and I used to get like 105s when I hit the crabs. So it's cool to see how far I've come, that I can get 103 while hitting a crab. So that was nice. Also, it's worth noting that I stopped doing speedruns live for this category towards the end. I actually got this run within like 3 hours of doing no Twitch stream runs, where I just do local recordings with the timer on the screen, because it's not required to actually stream this live. As long as you have the timer on the screen present during the local recording, it's allowed. And I realized that I did not enjoy doing these speed runs towards the end of me playing this category, because I was having to reset so often on Grumble Volcano and the Special Cup in general, that the streams were extremely repetitive and just like irritating for me, because like I want my stream to be entertaining, and I don't have control over it at all when it comes to the gameplay, because I'm just resetting over and over and over on the same tracks. And my stream is more of an online stream, play against my subscribers, you know, very high energy and very much what's it called, interactive, you know, so the speedrun just wasn't interactive at all. So it wasn't for me towards the end. It wasn't a problem when I was improving the time all the time, because that was exciting, but once it got to the point where I was going to take a while to improve, I was like, okay, like I need to find a different strategy here. Also, before I keep going on this tangent, I want to note this was my best Delfino score ever. I hold the 200cc record for this track, and I got like a 128.3 on this one, and I'm happy just to get sub 130 whenever I play Delfino. So this was amazing for me because this was flawless. There were no mistakes at all, and I am so satisfied with that. That's the best run in the entire video. Grumble was really good, like Dry Ruins went well out of the ones so far, and then we've had some really consistent solid ones too, like Rainbow Road and Peach Beach and stuff, but that one is the highlight of the entire run for me. I also have a couple great Lightning Cup splits you'll see a little bit later, so excited for those for sure. Waluigi Stadium, I remember I make a mistake here. I think I screw up one of the turn skips, and I'm so mad the CPU took my box right there. That's a strategy I use where I jump at the beginning, so some CPUs pass me, and then I get the far right box, and I get a mushroom, because I get a box in 4th or 5th, and it works a lot. But it didn't work here, and it's a bummer, because I wasted like half a second. So here's the first turn skip. This is a very easy strat, but even though it's really easy, I for some reason find it also very easy to fail, because sometimes I just don't get up the wall far enough, and then I also just have the wrong angle, so I've messed it up plenty, and I get this probably 80% of the time or something, but or maybe 90%, but that's not enough. I should be making this like 95+% of the time. So I think it's right here. What happened? Let me look. Oh, okay, so I didn't go, yeah, so you have to go down the wall a little bit further and then go back up to get a better angle. I didn't have a good enough angle. Okay, so at least I recovered pretty well from it, but this should have been at least a 131. Like I said, I hit the wall at the beginning of the lap, and then I had that wall glitch fail, so yeah, this is still so much easier. Oh, that was gross. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is not good. So I've actually gotten 128 on this track once, but I normally aim for 129 or 130. So this was a 133, and it shows. Oh man. So back to what I was saying about the local recording. So it was nice because I got to just listen to music and like podcasts while I played, and I got 5702, which is the splits I'm racing against, really quick. Like I got it in I think 2 hours or so. And then I went home, visited family for Christmas and New Year's, and I came back, and then I got this in like 2 tries, right at the start. It only took 1 hour in total because I restarted after like Grumble Volcano, and then the next try I got this, and it was such a big improvement. I beat my time by 10 seconds, which was awesome, and it's so far from perfect. I'll tell you right now that as I got better and better at this category, and I talked to Darren, who has the record for this category, we both came to the conclusion that like if we add our best splits up, it'll be around 5605 to like 5600. It'll be somewhere in that range. So maybe even sub 56, but that's like the best splits we've gotten on every track, so that is never gonna happen. There's no way you string together your best split on 32 straight courses. And obviously there's the CPU interference and the RNG that is something you have to take into account. So realistically, humans could get like 5630, maybe 5620 with a really good run. There's a mistake right there. I hit a lot of dirt there because I got an awkward bounce on the hill shortcut and wasn't able to have my mushroom extend past the second hill. So that was really annoying. I think I get a good shortcut on lap 3 though. I do the shortcut different than I used to. I used to kind of use it like really early and just jump over the second hill, but now I use the second hill to propel myself over the third hill. See, like that. And that is something I got from watching Darren speedrun. So this was awful. I can get 107 on this track for sure. I practiced beforehand and was able to get 107, so that's about 5-second time loss from what I can get. And I think my current PB at this case had around like a 110. I generally get 110 on average on Desert Hill. Something always goes wrong. And this is another track where something always went wrong. For those of you who watch my speedruns, especially like around the summertime when I was playing this category the most, you guys probably remember how many runs were lost to BC3. And I played this track quite a bit to get good at it. Oh, I remember that, I hit that wall. So I played this track quite a bit to get good at it, to not lose runs to it, because I used to get like 142 or 145 on this track and it would be over. So I got really good at the shortcut and I found a spot that works for me, and I learned how to do it quickly on 200, and I'm able to make that shortcut like 90% of the time. And there was a point in time where I was making it like only 60%, and I was losing runs left and right to BC3, and it was so demotivating. And I'd make it, that was back when I was starting on the Luigi circuit, so I'd be so far into the run. Oh, a little wall hit there too. So we had one major wall hit and one minor wall hit, and let's see how this one went. Nice. So 2 low jumps followed by a low jump without a trick, so I don't have enough speed to accidentally pass over the last little platform, and I'm able to stop in time, get my alignment, and do the shortcut. So this was a really good lap too. Aside from that minor wall hit, it's probably going to be like, what, 31? Yeah, 31.421. Nice. So lap 3, I miss a low trick, I know that, and I think I have to take some weird wonky lines because the CPU scared me, but that was a nice banana evasion moment, and I get my alignment, and as you can see, my camera angle was being a little bit spazzy, and that part definitely scared me. That was very much a 50-50 shortcut. I was like, I either have the right alignment and I'm gonna get the little bounce from the wall, the yellow boost panel onto the wall. It's got some weird physics, or I'm not. It was really sketchy. So BC3 135. Solid. I can get 132 on that track, but I'm happy to get 136 or below always whenever I play BC3, because something like a few of the other tracks I mentioned, something always goes wrong. BC3 is definitely one of those tracks. I remember not being happy about my Parkway. I remember something goes wrong. I think I hit a tree on lap 3, so we'll see. But this track is one that I also added this cool shortcut to later into the speedrun's history. Well, it's only been a year, but you know what I mean. It wasn't at the start. That shortcut right there, and I do mess it up slightly on lap 1, hit a little bit of grass, so lost all the time I would have gained from it. Probably lost a little time extra instead of just not going for it at all. Probably would have been better. So, oh well, it's all good. And I remember I get it perfect on lap 2, which is nice. So you guys will see some good execution of it on lap 2, and then lap 3 is not so pretty. I get like a 147 on this one, and I normally want to get 145 when everything goes right. But I practiced this one quite a bit. There were days where I used to only get, like way back during the summertime, I used to get like 148 on this one and be happy. Here's the really good shortcut. There's 2 ways to do it. You can either like release a wheelie into it, or you can just drift into it and then release your drift right as you land, switch drifts to the opposite direction, and then have the boost propel you into the next turn. It's really nice because the boost you get from the main turbo can actually get you out of the grass if you hit a little bit of the grass. So that's really good. And I took that turn super smooth. The 200cc lines are a disaster in general to learn for this game because they're such a contrast compared to the 150 lines. Like your 150 skill does not translate to 200 that well. It's not like when you play custom tracks and you can implement a lot of your 150cc Nintendo track driving strategy to the custom tracks. That banana almost got me, whoa. But yeah, it's like with 200cc, it's like kind of learning a brand new game because you have these 2 new mechanics, the fast falling. Oh, the double banana dodge. I forgot about that. That was awesome. So happy that went well. I got 148. Okay, so that is a very weak Parkway for me, despite some heroic moments on lap 3. Not pretty. But yeah, what was I saying? I was talking about something. It was probably not important. My brain is scattered. It's late, but I'm happy to be commentating this run. This is actually the reason why I thought it was such a good idea, on top of why I wanted to do local recording speedruns and do these speedruns not on stream towards the end, is because I knew that I really wanted to get a run where I post-commentated it in general once I was done with the category. Because it allows me just to like talk about the whole thing, while when I'm doing the speedruns, I don't really talk at all, if you've noticed. I only like comment on certain moments. Oh, that grass, it slowed me down so much. It definitely startled me because I missed the low trick after. I was probably a little frustrated right there. But yeah, anyway, back to what I was saying is because I'm post-commentating it, I can actually comment on the moments and not really get, you know, like, because if I'm doing it live, you're only going to hear my reactions to very specific things, and that's it. But if I'm post-commentating it, which I've never done for this category or in general for any speedrun, I'm able to talk about the intricacies. The big part about this track is always going wide right there on that giant U-turn, because what happens is the chain chomp will always go for you on offline. So you have to also take down the middle for the piranha plants, because the piranha plants will also always chomp at you. I actually hit the piranha on my 5702, so I knew there was quite a bit of time gain I can get on the Leaf Cup. And the Leaf Cup had far from perfect splits. I gained about 1.3 seconds, but man, I lost like a lot of time on Desert Hills and on Parkway. So even though I went up 1.3, that was a split that was a little underwhelming for me, because I knew I could go -5 there if things went well. This is hilarious right here. So I was very much in the zone, and like I said, I was listening to music, and I kind of get in a trance, and the CPU throws a red at me, and I could have, if I spammed my item quick enough, I could have totally dodged that because I pulled a shell, but it caught me so off guard that I reacted really slowly to it, and I pull out that shell, and it's just a split second too late, because the shell comes out, my shell comes out, but it comes out too late, and the item already hit me as my shell is coming out, and that's always the worst feeling. It means like you were like 1 frame away from getting your shell out in time to dodge the incoming shell. So frustrating, and I was so upset. It definitely like brought me back into the mode of I need to focus, because when that happened, I was like, wow, I'm 10 seconds ahead. Why am I zoning out? Like, I think a big reason why is honestly because I'm listening to music, and because I'm not live, there's no pressure, you know? So I just like zoned out. That is the one negative I learned about doing a local recording, not streaming it live, is that you definitely zone out because there's way less pressure. Like, I had no nerves at this point, but I actually kick it into gear really hard after MC3, because I had that 3-second time loss on one of the easiest tracks, and my Peach Gardens and my DK Mountain are two of my best DK Mountain Peach Gardens runs I've ever had. So this Lightning Cup in general is pretty good, and I generally say this is probably my worst cup. So to get this one over with and actually gain time was a huge motivation boost going into the last 3 cups of the speedrun. So this one, you gotta avoid the chain chomps. I brake drift super hard right there, and then jump over the corner of the flower patch, jump again, and I'm able to, this is really slidey terrain, so I'm only able to get like 1 mini turbo during that entire dirt section, because I'm just trying to avoid the really thick grass. Use your mushroom super early here, so you can release a mini turbo going out of the flower patch, so maximize your boosting. And that chain chomp, I normally have no problem with it, but because I was on such good pace, I actually had to, I was not used to having to avoid it with that close of space right there. So for Peach Gardens, another bagging track, I always go for the far right box because the CPUs almost never take it. And as always, like I've said before, wait until you're in 10th because you're guaranteed triple mushrooms. So this is really funny for me watching this, because this is a little bit better pace than I'm used to on this track, and the chain chomps were definitely a hindrance, and I didn't remember them being such a problem, but I haven't watched this run yet. I'm actually watching this for the first time right now. Oh my gosh, is that the second or third blooper? That green shell almost hit me. Oh, that would have scared me so badly. I don't even think I noticed that when I was in the run, but just watching it right there, the bloopers in my face, but you can see that green bounce off the castle wall, shoot back at me, miss me by pixels. Oh man, and that was what, like a 127? Amazing Peach Gardens. Now my DK Mountain is really good considering the fact that this is one of the top 10 hardest tracks in the speedrun. Like I said, the first 5 tracks, Grumble Volcano through Rainbow Road, are 5 of the top 10 hardest, and then you gotta throw in BC3, Desert Hills, and DK Mountain. If I had to name the top 8 hardest tracks of the speedrun, it would probably be those 8. I'd have to think about it. Coconut Mall is definitely really scary. Wario's Gold Mine always scares me as well. But man, this one can go so wrong. And that is a very tricky section right there. It's extremely important to get the wheelie and not the trick. And for those of you who play this game regularly, you know that trick and wheelie are the same button on all these controllers. So it is so easy to accidentally trick. And if you trick there, it puts you in a really awkward position because you don't get the distance. You're gonna land on one of the bumps before the downward section that you want to be turning on. You're gonna land before then, and your boost is gonna propel you past the section where you want to turn. So it's really detrimental. So you want to wheelie right there. There's a very small window where you can wheelie, and it'll put you right on that like right slanted slope, which allows you to drift off it and get the perfect alignment to descend down the gray part of the mountain. Now, this part requires a lot of brake drifting. During the speedrun, even though brake drifting is an awesome feature Mr. Bean added, and I use it all the time online, when you're doing a speedrun, you want to take lines where you can avoid brake drifting as much as possible, because generally it slows you down, and there are ways to take the corners on almost every corner in the speedrun without having to brake drift too much, but that is not the case on this course, and definitely not on, like, you know, Parkway or Daisy Circuit either. And this one is the biggest offender though. You need brake drifting. So I'm brake drifting here. I release my main turbo without even getting it by pressing B first. Brake drift on the second corner. I had to actually improvise and change the strategy and not drift through the shortcut because that banana scared me. And then there's some ending bananas, but 145 is really good for DK Mountain. And I had some CPU interference with their traps. So considering all of that, that's about a perfect DK Mountain for me. Now I know I make a mistake on BC64. I think I hit a thwomp. I remember being so upset at myself for this as well, because it was one of those things where I thought I knew the cycle, and it's completely my fault. I messed up the cycle, and I actually forgot where the thwomp goes down on lap 2. And what I do on this track is I go to the far right, because the thwomps chase you on offline. You have to always avoid them, unlike online where they always have a set pattern. So I know the sliding thwomps, I know their patterns, I got that memorized, but the beginning thwomps, the ones that chase you, those ones, like I said, I avoid. And not only do you have to worry about those, you have to worry about the 3 thwomps that are moving side to side. Real quick, let's talk about the shortcut. The shortcut saves a little bit of time. I only do it lap 1 and 2 generally, because the boost helps propel into the next lap, and on lap 3 there is no next lap, so it saves less time. So I generally never go for it lap 3, but lap 1 and 2 it's a nice little quick shortcut. But right here you have to worry about the thwomps that chase you, and then the 3 thwomps that are in a little pattern, and I forgot the pattern. And you know why I forgot the pattern? I'll tell you why. Because normally I'm on pace that's a little bit worse than this, because sometimes I don't even do that ending shortcut, and that thwomp is not even a problem. But I forgot that if you're on good pace, that thwomp is in your way. So it was a little mistake, but so frustrating, so frustrating. I'm a little shooken up at this point. That's why I don't go for the shortcut. And I know that I'm still ahead by quite a bit of time. I had 2 amazing tracks prior to this one on Peach Gardens and DK Mountain. So I decide, gonna play it safe, cut my losses, hit the thwomp, no big deal. But on lap 2 and 3, I always go to the left side of the thwomps. I go a little wide there because that green shell is scaring the living hell out of me, because I am not about to get hit by another shell on the Lightning Cup. My god. Okay, so Toadette is being a little bit of a problem here. I check my green hesitantly, and that almost came back to bite me. I end up hitting Toadette off the edge. If you look at the minimap, it's really funny. Toadette has to respawn because that green that I threw actually bounces off like 6 walls, ricocheting, hits Toadette, knocks her into the Shadow Realm, and we are moving on to the ending of the speedrun. Wow, I can't believe I threw that green, missed Toadette, and then almost hit myself. That could have been it. I probably would have reset out of anger, but as you can see, really good split. Despite the Mario Circuit red shell, Mario Circuit 3 red shell, and the BC64 thwomp hit, I still gained 2.5 seconds. And that is because my DK Mountain and Peach Gardens were perfect. And those are long tracks, and when you have perfect runs on long tracks, you gain quite a bit of time. This Luigi Circuit also goes perfect. I get a 50.2, and for those of you who remember when I used to start on Luigi Circuit, I used to get like 50.6 often. That was always a solid time for me, and anything like sub 51 was good. So 50.2 is like really nice, and I'm not even getting the mushroom anymore that I used to get at the beginning when I used to do the speedruns, because I used to get a mushroom on the first box, and that would allow me to do the shortcut once. Now the way we do it is so much better, because it's a track where even though we start in last on the first track of every speedrun, because we're starting on Grumble, a track where we always had to bag anyway, it's like we're not losing any time, because that's a track where we bag for 3 mushrooms anyway. We weren't doing that on the Luigi Circuit, so that's a little time gain. So that's another reason you don't want to start on Luigi Circuit. I recommend starting on Desert Hills or Grumble Volcano, just because those are 2 very difficult courses and you get them over with right away. So you get Grumble Volcano and the Special Cup over with right away if you start on Grumble, and you get BC3 and Desert Hills out of the way right away if you start on the Leaf Cup. So pretty cool, pretty cool. On Moo Meadows, I do have something go wrong. I don't remember what it is, but I do get a 56-second Moo Meadows, and I generally get mid 55 when everything goes right. The slip drift right here allows me to get the perfect alignment to not have to go through that little S-bend where the grass is. That's nice, really like that. And I remember I had a close call with the moles on lap 2 at the end, but this is actually the easiest part of the speedrun for me, even though it's not the easiest, but objectively it is, because the thing is like, I don't play the Shell Cup as often. I put so much time. Hang on real quick, right here, I almost screw up. Look at this, I go right through the mole and I just bounce through him and I don't get slowed down, thank God. But anyway, back to what I was saying is the Mushroom Cup is the easiest for me because I spent the most time on it. Oh, bad cow RNG. I used to say that like every run when I used to do these, because I was always resetting on like Toad's Factory or Mushroom Gorge or Coconut Mall, and I played this track so much. So 56.1 is it's a very, very average Moo Meadows for me, but like if I hadn't put so much time into the Mushroom Cup, then that would be like a really good Moo Meadows for me. It's funny, it's just all about the tracks you practice. I have so much experience with the Mushroom Cup that it's just a free cup for me. Very, very difficult for me to make any unforced errors on this cup. So on my 57.02, I actually get redded on Mushroom Gorge. So I actually have a chance to gain a little bit of time here, if I remember correctly. It was a minor, like, this cup is not perfect. It's a little bit shaky, like I said. My Moo Meadows, I lose some time. I lose some time on Mushroom Gorge because the CPUs kind of took a little while to get there, and as you can see, it's getting a little shaky. I think I get a 29-second first lap. 29.9. So a really good Mushroom Gorge lap 1 for me is like a 28.45. So 1.5 second time loss. I even missed one of the boost panels. I think I jumped over it, like that one right there on lap 1, because you get a little bounce, you get a little air pocket whenever you're going over that first boost panel, just because of the 200cc speed being so fast. So I got the green mushroom skip lap 2. I think I get it lap 3 as well. And for this gap jump, the key is always just to drift over it and not try to cut too much. If you cut too much, you can actually fall in, because on the far left side of that gap, it actually curves downward a bit and it'll shoot you into the abyss. So you have to be really careful with that. CPU interference was negligible in this track, which was nice, because this is one that's really scary because you're bouncing on all these mushrooms. If you have to deal with the CPUs, then you're in for a bad time. So always go a little bit wide and then curve inwards. 121.9. For those of you who watched the speedruns in the past, you know that my really good mushroom gorges are 119.8, 119.9. So a lot of potential on that one squandered, but some of it's not my fault because the CPUs, like I said, took a little bit longer than expected to get to those item boxes. Generally, they're quicker than that. So Toad's Factory, there's a really cool shortcut I normally do on this level where I'm able to land where the ending tractors are, skip the bumps and the lake altogether. You guys have seen it many times in my speedruns. I don't do it here because I only go for that trick on lap 2 because the boost panels are in a favorable position where that strat saves the most time. It doesn't really save much at all if you do it on the other laps. Like for example, look at here, lap 1. The booster is on the far left side, and you can't hit that first one, so you have to go through a tiny bit of the mud. It's not worth it. The shortcut's just not worth it. Ooh, I forgot about that. So I made a mistake on this track too. Yeah, lots of minor mistakes on the mushroom cut, but very minor compared to like hitting the crab or hitting the thwomp like earlier in the run. So anyway, yeah, I lost a little bit of time there, but I don't go for it right here on lap 2 because see, the boost panel is in the perfect spot, so I can easily pull off that shortcut than what I normally do. The reason why is because I already missed the cycle. And the nice part is I went slow enough where I got the cycle anyway. And what I mean by the cycle is if you, on lap 2, go for, oh, those crates. Oh my god, I almost hit those. That was ridiculous. Hitting those crates is just GG's. But yeah, so back to what I was saying is if you're having a really, really fast pace and you do that cool shortcut at the end of lap 2, on lap 3, you can get under the stompers. But if you make mistakes like I did by hitting the side of the thwomper on the beginning of lap 2, my pace was already so slow that not doing the shortcut helps me because it makes me go slow enough to get the cycle in the other direction where I missed the stompers altogether and get to go over the boost panel because, not the boost panel, the conveyor belt, because the conveyor belt speeds you up and you want to be on that thing if you can because, you know, you'll gain a little bit of extra time and going around it will make you lose some time, just like regular time trials, as you all know. we were almost at the end of the speed run. I don't think I do a Goomba snipe in this run. I remember I was like I said, there are certain moments where I kind of zone out whenever I'm doing speedruns in general. Speedruns are really long, and my attention span is clearly not good enough because I completely forgot to do what I normally do, and that is if I pull a banana to just cycle through item boxes until I get a green shell. So I lost a little bit of time not going for the Goomba snipe. Doesn't mean I would have got the Goomba snipe. I miss it half the time, but maybe a little under half the time. But I do a couple cycles on lap 2. I finally was like, oh yeah, I need the Shroomba. But then this blooper kind of shied me away from going for the Shroomba. I ended up not going for it. Really favorable chain chomp position, so I got to cut that corner a lot tighter than I usually do with a safety net. Normally what happens on that corner is I go really wide because the chain chomp will be out more, and I know that he always will go to the halfway point in the road, so I go around the halfway point in the road. But when he's that far inland, I'm able to cut it so much tighter without having to worry, which is nice. So you cut a little bit of extra time. So I should probably mention I did gain time on the Mushroom Cup despite it being far from perfect, because on my current splits, Mushroom Gorge hit the red, got hit by a red shell, and I could have gained another 3 seconds or so, but I'm only 14.8 ahead. We have a CPU interference moment on this level. Want to mention real quick, I bagged for shrooms for the crazy shortcut, and I actually, when I go off that first banister, I have to actually brake a bit in midair. I have to let go of the gas to make sure I don't hit the ceiling when I trick off the banister. It's really easy to hit the ceiling there, so that's a little bit of a scary moment always. So here is the shortcut. And this is a no ultra shortcut speedrun. However, this is not an ultra shortcut because this does not skip any of the key checkpoints. And every track has certain key checkpoints, and that is something y'all can just go watch the Summoning Salt video to learn about key checkpoints. But anyway, on this track, I am going through all of them, and that is why if I were to play this online, this shortcut works, because if you play on CTGP makes it so if you skip any key checkpoints, the lap doesn't count online, which is such a nice feature. Mr. Bean is a legend for implementing that. But this shortcut works online because it doesn't skip any key checkpoints. Donkey Kong, I hate you. Oh my gosh. He made me lose a little bit of time there. But this is still a really good Coconut Mall because I 3 for 3 the shortcut and had safe but quality lines and had a really good first lap, the lap that I had to drive, no glitch. And that is by far the most broken shortcut in the run. The fact that is not an ultra shortcut is insane. And I remember when that first was implemented into the speedruns, it was not by me, it was by someone else. Can't remember who, but I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, like that's not an ultra shortcut. Like I can start doing that, and I was able to save quite a bit of time pretty quick, because that shaved like 15 seconds off the run or something, because doing that 3 times, you know, it's like 5 seconds a lap or something crazy. So definitely worth it. DK Summit, high air off that hill, but I have some really safe strategies for this level in general. It's actually gotten a lot easier for me. It's important to jump as I land from these boost panels, because oh, that was almost a disaster. I almost got shot backwards there. It's funny because I'm reacting to this because I have not watched this myself. This is funny. But I'm remembering it like as it's happening. You know when you've seen a movie, but you haven't seen that movie since you were a kid or something, and you don't really remember it, but as the movie is happening, you remember it, and you're just like, oh yeah, I remember that. But you couldn't tell the person next to you that you're watching with what's happening next, but as it's happening, you're like, oh yeah, that's me right now. I missed the trick lap 2 as well? Awkward. Okay. So what's so funny about this is I get like a low 131 on this track, and I used to get like 133s, 135s all the time. I can't even imagine getting a time like that now, because like I've gotten much better with the strats. Like that little section, much better. I do the shortcut now, it saves a little bit of time. I found a way to consistently do it without going backwards, because I used to go backwards a decent amount on it. I get the jumps, wasn't perfect by any means, but my lap 3 was much better than my lap 1 and 2, just from an ending perspective. But yeah, so it's fun watching this because I realized like I finally achieved my goal. And I remember back when the time was like 57:40 for me, I was like, an insane run will be sub 57. I could maybe do it if I grind super hard. And then it got to the point where I was like, 57 is free. Like as long as I just drive decent, I can get it. And that's what this run was for me. Like pretty good RNG with the CPUs, and then like solid driving, no major errors, just a lot of minor errors though, a lot of minor errors. There's still like 50 seconds of total time save that's possible. Like I said though, there's no way I'm gonna go for it because it requires a lot of luck with a speedrun like this, and it's a marathon, so so I'm never gonna go for sub 56 ever. You have my word, I'm never gonna go for it. However, I will return to this category if and only if Nmead keeps playing it. And oh, what the heck? I forgot about that. I got batted. Dang it. But yes, I will return to this category if and only if Nicholas Mead starts to get close to bopping my time. And by starting to get close, I mean he gets like a low 57. If he gets a low 57, because I have 56, 52 now, I would be like, okay, Nicholas, I see you. I'll try to improve my time. And it's important that I mention that this is going off real time and not in-game time. If you add up the milliseconds from my run in the entirety, all 32 tracks, without including the screens that I spam A on, my time is 43 minutes and 8 seconds, 0.323. I did the calculations before making this video, which means I did not sub 43 minutes in game time. So if I ever come back to this, that would be a goal, is to shave 9 seconds off this run to beat the in-game time, current time I have, 43:08. So I got the sub I was going for, but I didn't get the other sub, which is a nice goal to go for if I decide to ever return to the speedrun. I have no plans of it now. I feel so satisfied to be done with it. So Royal's gold mine, besides the moment where the bat pushed me into the wall and like made me lose 2/3 of my speed, really solid, not bad at all. I played it safe lap 1, but otherwise I was happy with that. There's a lot of minor errors in this, but the driving is good, and you can really tell that I've mastered the 200cc category in general. I've put a lot of, it's funny I say that and I hit the wall, but I mean, for those of you who have played it, you know that this is, it's Mario Kart Wii on steroids, a game that is already ridiculous. So it is impossible to go through runs and not make these small errors. And you're happy to make small errors. You're just trying to avoid large errors. And it is so easy to make large errors when you're playing 200. On 150, whenever I was doing the category earlier this year, you don't really make mistakes at all, but you lose your time by just not having the crisp lines. So I'm gonna go back to the 150cc no item category sometime soon, and I'm going to fine-tune my lines and learn the shroomless strategies for the tracks, because it's all about the milliseconds in those speedruns. It's super easy not to make any major mistakes because the regular game we've been playing for 11 years, this thing is only out for a year now, and it's so fast-paced that the mistakes happen in the blink of an eye. So it's more about not messing up and taking decent lines and learning the strategies to avoid messing up and taking safe navigation throughout the tracks, while the 150cc speedrun for this game is much more about like learn how to drift correctly with like soft drifting, slip drifting, and all that stuff, and delay drifting to maximize your wheelie time and get your mini turbos out really quick so you can get awesome shroomless times. And I will be practicing that pretty soon. Lap 1 on Koopa Cape. Amazing shroomless shortcut. I think I get sub 35. Let's see what I get. 35.0. Really solid for lap 1. And it's unfortunate because lap 2 and 3 do not go as smoothly, and I have an awesome slip drift strategy there in that whole beginning. I wish I could explain it, but okay, yeah, so I missed it. But still, even though I missed it, I got a mini turbo out of it because that strategy I'm currently using allows me to, even when I miss the shortcut, take minimal damage because I'm able to charge a mini turbo as I exit the grass patch. So that's why I do that strategy. But I think it's worth noting how the beginning of the Koopa Cape lap goes for the 200cc. So you trick off of it, you pull back wheel back, and you drift as you land. You get a slip drift here, and you get that wheelie before that little dip, and you get to avoid the dip altogether and land at the top of the dip. I hope that makes sense. but it looks really cool if you just go back and analyze what oh, that green shell. Oh my gosh. But if you just go back and analyze like what I do in that whole section, it saves so much time. I didn't know about that when I first started speedrunning this like a year ago. And once I learned how to do that section, I was able to save like over a second on Koopa Cape every single time. So this is a 146, and 146 used to be like amazing for me, and that was just very average for me. I didn't even get the shortcut 2 out of 3 times. So pretty cool that I can get a 146 when you know, stuff goes wrong, while before I'd get like 150 on that same run when I only get the shortcut 1 for 3. So really cool. We are on the final track of the speedrun, and it's funny because I commentated this all in one take. I just rambled for almost an hour straight. Gotta love it. That is the power of being a YouTuber / Twitch streamer, the ability to ramble. So Maple Treeway, a track I also have the 200cc record for on the no glitch category. Not like the 200cc time trials get much play, but it's still cool to have. And I was so scared going into that blue zipper, because if I hit that the wrong direction, if I don't have enough drift right there, you guys know what happens. I shoot up it and I lose like 3 seconds. It is brutal. So right there, this is a big mistake. This is one of the biggest mistakes of the entire run. I got an awkward bounce off that last jump. I had such an awkward angle that I decided I'm gonna do damage control and still go for the shortcut. And I clipped the edge of the fence. So I was really upset about that. Thankfully, the rest of this run goes really well. That's the only mistake in it. This ends up being a 149, which is average for me. I got a 150 on this track on my what's it called? On my 5707, which is the last 200cc speedrun I uploaded. I finally used my mushroom there on lap 2 on the straightaway. That's the best spot to use the mushroom. It was really cool how I got a mushroom from this first box. This box, it's actually one of the coolest things they ever did in a Mario Kart track. A shortcut where you take the shortcut, it actually puts you behind the other racers. You get an item box, and then you hit these boost panels which propel you in front of the other racers, and then you have an item in a top spot, and it could be something like a star or a bullet bill, and you'll have it in like 4th or 5th place when you play. So I absolutely love that. I use that strategy to get a mushroom, and it's really cool because, you know, that's just really good game design in general. Awesome ending. Love that super flashy ending where I get the low trick as I hit the leaf pile, mushroom comes out, and I propel myself into the finish line. Sub 57 category is done for me for a long time. And it's funny because I literally got like a 106 or 108 or something crazy when I did this the very first run, the no reset run, and then I quickly got it down to like 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 hour, 29 seconds. I uploaded that, and then I got a 59.50, and then I thought I was done with the category. Then it came out on CTGP with brake drifting, fast falling, and I was like, okay, I can definitely push this down. We got a 58, like 24, then I got the 57 runs, and I said, once I sub 57, I'm done. And I subbed 57. So thank you to everyone for coming along for the ride. And I hope you look forward to my future speedrun endeavors. Speedrunning is a lot more fun than I anticipated, and it was nice to have my first speedrun that I pour time into achieve my goals for it. So I'm looking forward to putting time into a new speedrun, and a couple new speedruns actually. I'm gonna try Mario Kart 8 Deluxe 200cc, and I'm gonna do Mario Kart Wii 150cc, all tracks, no items, and then eventually do Mario Kart Wii 16 tracks with glitches. So those are the 3 I have in mind to supplement this one, which we won't be playing for a long time. So that is it. Thank you for watching. Any questions in the comments section, go for it. I'll be answering. And yeah, enjoy Funky Kong dancing, and peace.